Hi and welcome to Section 3, Become the Librarian. During Section 2, we added book search and selection to our library app. In Section 3, we'll use that foundation to start displaying and managing our book collection while also taking care of our codebase. We'll start this section by replacing the default template rendering engine with a third-party library. Next, we'll update the UI to display our book collection. Then we'll add UI elements to delete books we no longer own. Finally, we'll integrate the popular Gorilla Mux library into our application. In this video, we'll take advantage of third-party libraries to make writing HTML easier. Creating an HTML file can start to feel very repetitive with raw HTML. If we replace the standard library's templating engine, we can use a markup language which is less verbose. To start, we'll choose a new template rendering engine. Then we'll replace the default HTTP template engine with our new third-party engine. Finally, we'll update our original template using our new syntax. Let's get started. If you look at the first route we wrote, you'll remember that we've been using the standard library's HTML template package to render a template. If we look at index.html, it's obvious that using the default template engine essentially means writing straight HTML code. Keeping track of all these angle brackets and ending nodes is cumbersome and will make it harder to upkeep our templates in the future. One of the more popular alternatives to the default template engine is Ace. Ace is inspired by Slum templates for Ruby and J templates for Node.js. This example on the homepage sums up the syntax for writing Ace templates. Ace is space sensitive and there are no angle brackets or closing tags to deal with. Ace makes writing HTML easier and declutters our template files. Since this is a third-party library, we'll use github.com/yossi/ace to download and install the package. This may take a moment based on your computer hardware and network connection. Next, we'll need to update the main.go file to use Ace. Add github.com/yossi/ace to the import list at the top of this file. And while we're here, let's remove html/template. Ace works a little differently from HTML template. We no longer need this call to parse files. Instead, we'll use ace.load to load our template on demand in the route given the file name, subtemplate, and a list of options. In this case, we'll use nil to use the default options. Each call to load stores the parsed template in a cache for later use, which means that the template will only be parsed the first time the handler is called. We'll check for an error and return an internal server error if necessary. Instead of using this template execute method, we'll need to call execute on the template object we just created. Execute takes in the response writer and our page object as parameters. This last part may be a little tricky. We'll walk through our HTML file and convert the syntax to Ace. Let's start by making a copy of the index.html file and calling the new file index.ace. At the top of the file, let's add equals doctype HTML to tell the web browser that this will be an HTML5 file. Now we'll remove all the closing tags. There aren't very many, but you're free to use a find and replace with a regular expression to do this if you want to avoid missing any by hand. Okay, good. Now we can lean on our text editor to find all left angle brackets and replace them with nothing. And we can do the same thing with all the right angle brackets. For the CSS we've embedded in the head tag, we'll replace the style node with equals CSS, which is shorthand to let the Ace parser know to expect raw CSS. We'll do something similar with the JavaScript code, replacing the script node with equals JavaScript. And that's it. Make sure to save your file and restart your web server. When we visit the page at localhost 8080, everything should look just like it did when we started. Although it may look the same, we know that we've made some major changes on the server side, and our lives will be a whole lot easier for it. Don't forget to delete the index.html file we're no longer using. Remember that the more UI you've created, the more difficult it will be to switch template engines in your project. Fortunately, our current codebase is small, so our transition was relatively painless. In this video, we found a new third-party library to make writing HTML better called Ace and integrated it within our application.